Few new joiners this weekend. Couple of other people also planning to join next weekend. I'm super glad that you all joined as part of this analytics journey with me. Okay, your analytics journey with me. Okay, so we will start with SQL queries, how to write SQL queries as part of this training program, Power BI training program. It is good, and you should be knowing how to write SQL queries. Most of them still think Power BI is kind of a advanced version of Excel. Why should I learn MySQL? And also in Power BI we do a lot of drag and drop, not much of coding. Then why should I knowing this one? So there are various reasons that you need to learn SQL queries. Number one reason is supposing the given source system, let's say you joined with a company, as a data analyst, and your manager says, hey, the data is available in rdbms system. Okay, we are using, let's say, MySQL. The rdbms can be anything, MySQL or SQL server. We will see SQL server also later point in time. Okay, but once you learn how to write a SQL query, SQL stands for structured query language. Okay, structured query language. Okay, structured query language. And once you learn the SQL, the structured query language in any one of these rdbms systems, that is enough for you to write the same queries in other rdbms software. Only thing is, there are mild syntax difference will be there. There will be a syntax, the problem is syntax difference will be there. Otherwise it's all same. Okay, otherwise it's all same. The idea, right, the concept, for example, subquery. What is subquery? What is correlated subquery and non-correlated subquery? And what is inline query? Joins, and most of them are same only, but there is a subtle difference between one rdbms to another rdbms. Okay, in here we will look at SQL server also, because it's a Microsoft product. You need to keep that in mind. Okay, Microsoft product. We are going to learn Power BI. Power BI is also Microsoft product. And okay, my Power BI is Microsoft product, and SQL Server is also Microsoft product. So does that mean should I learn Microsoft related products? Yes, it is good always, because in US, the US customers, once they buy Microsoft product, for example IBM product, when they buy it, the related products they buy it because they can expect more discount, and also they are already familiar with the IBM support, everything. They are more comfortable with their support, everything, support process, everything. So in that case they prefer IBM product. Similarly, when the customer already is using Microsoft products, obviously they will prefer to use SQL server, or prefer to buy Power BI, right? And when it comes to analytics, most of the customers already having SSIS, especially in, let's say, if the customer, US based customer, if he has already purchased SSIS software, this is for ETL process. Already if they had purchased SSIS software, they are familiar with the Microsoft product and all, support, everything. Okay, so hence they still prefer Microsoft product. Other important aspect is, for example, SSIS, and if they are using SSAS, is also Microsoft product. Okay, in the past they already deployed most of the jobs. One second, sorry, it has gone something. I pressed something. One second, just let me fix it. Display settings here, I think. Anybody knows the thing up on top of it? Which one should I use it to? What key? Yeah, it has gone upside down little bit. Yeah, the view. Yeah, the view. What I should do? I should use line auto arrange show desktop icons. Sometimes even the small things we forget it. I used to do the mistake and I fixed it several times. Show desktop, no, not this one. 1 second. One second. Just give me a second. I'll just get his. I forgot it. So okay, we will continue. So the number one reason why we need to learn SQL as part of this training program is if the let's say you join with a customer as a data analyst. Okay, and the data number one is the customer preference, and they buy once they buy Microsoft related any product, right? The associated product they tend to buy more likely. And importantly, SSAS. For example, had they purchased SSAS in the past, SQL Server Analytics Service. Okay, so this analytics service already they purchased it and already they deployed the code on the cloud or on their on-premise system. Okay, it's all they already up and running on their production system. Let's say the simple reports, right? The reports are already they developed it using SSAS, and the reports are already running. Now they want to migrate to Power BI. Okay, they want to use Power BI because they want to tap the advanced features that are available as part of Power BI. So there are some limitations with SSIS. To overcome those limitations, plus to leverage or tap the new features that are the additional features, the new features that are supported by Power BI. You know very well Power BI. In Power BI, Microsoft, what they did, so they introduced artificial intelligence powered features like decomposition tree visual, and then key influencers, and the Q&A visual, right? So natural language based Q&A. So you can just type the question, you can ask some question based on which the bar chart or pie chart will get refreshed automatically. You don't have to you don't have to plot x-axis. I want to plot the region, and y-axis I need to plot the sales. You don't have to you don't have to drag and drop the values or the variables to the axis. Okay, so all you need to just leverage the Q&A. It automatically does generate the visual. Okay, all you need to just type the question like region, sales by region, sales by region by sales by region by or sales by category by region in bar chart. If you type this, it automatically generates the bar chart based on the columns, the data that you already have, sales, category, region. Okay, it automatically generates the report just by typing this, right? It automatically generates the reports. That is the beauty of the Q&A visual. We have something called Q&A visual. Okay, you can see it is powered by artificial intelligence. Just by typing the natural language, you can generate like this, right? Sales by category by region in bar chart. So it automatically generates the chart. So you don't have to drag and drop the chart, and then you don't have to specify the axis values manually. It is taken care automatically. So likewise, different features are available in Power BI compared to SSAs, right? There are some advanced features are also available. So hence the customers, the American customers or your US customer, right? They want to use Power BI also in addition to SSAS. Okay, they don't want to decommission. That means they don't want to knock out this from their production system. They want to use this SSAS. In addition to that, they don't want to use Power BI because it's already running. There are no issues. Okay, it's all up and running. Okay, all you need to just use the cube. There is something called cube. The cube is a multi-dimensional view. Okay, so the cube already they developed it as part of SSAS, and also they are refreshing the data to the cube on a periodical basis. Using Power BI, you can connect to SSAS cube, and then which they already created it, and then you can generate additional visuals. Okay, you can create additional visuals. That is also the reason why the customers. These are the simple examples. Okay, in simple term, once they buy Microsoft product, the relevant product they tend to buy. The likelihood of purchasing the relevant products is also very high. Right, so obviously they will buy. So another reason is the Power BI cost wise, it is very cheaper. And for example, they purchased Power BI now, and already they are using SQL Server, Microsoft SQL Server. So in that case, all their data is there in this SQL Server. So the SSIS, see, had they purchased SSIS, obviously they must be having SQL Server in their system. Not necessarily they have to have it, but they must be having SQL Server. To see, the data is available in SQL Server, and using SSIS, you take this data, the raw data, and then you process it. You understood? If you want to perform any analytics, you need to have the data, isn't it? Without data, how can you do that? So those data, what they do, right? They store it in SQL Server, Microsoft SQL Server, and the data is available, but I need to transform this data in the required format. For that, what they do some kind of ETL process. You just think that way at this moment. Okay, they use this tool. Using this tool, they want to transform this data into the requisite format. And then what you do is they use some reporting tool, SSRS or an SSAS or Power BI, they use it. If the customer uses SQL Server, so SQL Server to store their data, so in that case, obviously you should be good with writing SQL queries. Okay, you cannot say I know only Power BI, and in Power BI I have worked only on the CSV files. What are CSV files? Comma separated values, comma separated value files, right? So the files are the file extension. It will be like this. For example, in the case of sales for week 04.csv, something like that. Okay, SCM, supply chain management, or supply chain management week 04, or so this one, the order, right? So PO, purchase order related data, week 4 data is available in this file. So the file extension is .csv. Look here, .csv. That means all the columns that you stored inside this file will have a comma separated. Each columns were separated by column. For example, here something called SKU is a column name separated by comma. This is what separating one column from another column. So SKU and quantity, and then something like the DC number, delivery challan number, something like that. Okay, likewise they have many columns, each column separated by comma, each column. Otherwise, how will the Power BI other tool will get to know? So whether if you don't have column, how will you know whether the values that are stored in SKUs relate to SKU itself, or whether it belongs to quantity also, right? So that's the reason. For example, SKU is like P001. This is my data. SKU is the column name. The data is something like that. Let's 10 quantity, and delivery challan number is E501. Okay. So this is the data, and okay. Since you are using comma as a delimiter, okay, P001, this value belong to this column, this value belong to this column, this value belong to this column. you will get to. So this is how they store the data in CSV file. .csv is comma separated value. Each column is separated by comma, right? 1 second, I'm just getting another. Sorry guys, I'm getting some calls, okay, and some people are still struggling to join. So that's why I request them to join at least 5 minutes in advance. Anyhow, so this is how they store the data. Let's say they give you the data in the form of .csv file. This is pretty easier. The data is available in .csv. It is pretty easier. You don't require any database connection. All you need to have is read only, at least the read only access you should have it, so that you can read it, right? But what if the data is available in the data, they store it in SQL Server. They're not giving the CSV file. They ask you to connect directly to my SQL Server. We have created a separate schema. You can access it and get it from there. Fine. Now using Power BI. So now also, right, using Power BI, you can connect to the SQL Server by using the credentials, username, password if you have it, the server name and the port number if you know it, and also if you know the database name, you can connect it directly. So if I connect it there, I can download whatever the table that I needed, and then I can start creating the report or dashboards. Fine, you are creating the dashboard and report. Rahul, just now I started, okay, don't worry, okay. So this one, we have generated a report, and we created a report and we created a dashboard. But here in Power BI, there are some features like, query folding. You have something called query fold. So what Power BI says is, if you wanted to do any kind of data pre-processing, for example, in this table, specific table, for example, I have an order table. In the order table, I don't need we have something called row underscore ID, some column is there, and some other columns. Like in the order table, you have a lot of columns, like the category, and you have subcategory and product, subcategory, and you have something called product name. So this product belongs to so and so subcategory. That subcategory falls under a specific category. And also you have something called standard cost, and unit price, and you have different columns, okay, and say price, and you have something called quantity, importantly quantity, right? So the quantity, comma, sales, and these are the values are available. So I call this a raw data because my manager wants to see the sales by, or instead of saying sales, right, I would say revenue by category, or revenue or profit by category. So this is the report he wants it, revenue by category by region. So he wants to know region wise, category wise, what is the revenue. Okay, in that case, I don't need all these columns. All I need is the row ID is not required. I'm going to remove this. This is kind of a transformation. Okay. And then what I do is, okay, I am going to retain the category, and subcategory also, subcategory is required because you might ask after seeing this the report, you might ask, okay, category wise, subcategory wise, is it possible for you to give me the breakup, the revenue and profit? Okay, subcategory wise breakup, can you give that? So in that case, you are going to have this one, and product name, obviously you will have to have this. Standard cost, you don't need it, and unit price, you don't have to have this one also. Quantity into, or probably, right, yeah, let's say you don't have sales column. So quantity into price will give you the sales. I consider that as a revenue. Okay, sales into quantity into unit price. This is I just call this a revenue. Okay, revenue. But he wants to aggregate this revenue. Aggregate is nothing but summarize the value. Anyhow, we'll discuss that later. I don't want to dump so many things in a single day. So I'm going to talk about query fold now. There is a feature called query fold in Power BI. What it does is quantity into unit price, you are doing it, and you are removing this column, right? So you are removing this column in the sense you are not going to remove it from the database or table from the SQL server. See, when you once you connect to the SQL server, all this data will get loaded in Power BI memory, right? So what you are doing is you are going to remove this one, row ID, and all the unnecessary columns or the columns that are not relevant to your report, you are going to remove it. Very simple. So what happens is the removal of the column, and you are changing the data type, and you are computing, you are doing some kind of, you are using some formula to compute the revenue, right? And also you are using some formula to compute the profit, right? Sales price, this is my, this is revenue, right? So here what I do is revenue minus the cost price. This is in simple term, these are sales minus cost is your profit. So you need to create new columns, revenue and profit, in addition to these columns. You need to create 2 new columns in addition to these columns based on the formulas. Again, the profit and revenue calculation, it involves different formula. At this moment, for the sake of simplicity, let us just think let's you sales minus cost price, that is your profit. You need to create 2 different columns, new columns based on the existing column. These are all what you are doing. You are calling this as I call this a transformation. Okay. So I told you ETL. As part of this, the T stands for transformation. I just want to transform this data in the required format. So for that, what Power BI says is, whatever the transformation, the formulas that you use it, whatever the column that you remove it, right? So whatever the changes, whatever the new column that you are trying to create it, all these jobs you do it at the SQL server side itself. You have the SQL server, and you have the Power BI, right? So using Power BI, you don't do all kind of these transformation. If you want to create a new column, you want to delete the column, you want to change the data, everything, if any job related to SQL server comes to you, you push it back to SQL server itself. That is the idea of query folding. If you do it anything at the source system itself, your Power BI, right, memory will not be overused, right? Instead, what you do, you push it to source system itself. Because the query, whatever you are using it is native to the SQL server. It is something like if I talk to you in your native language, you will be able to understand very clearly, right? So something like that. Okay. So instead of doing the data transformation, removing, cleaning all the things, do it at the SQL server, because my source system is a SQL server. And also at times what will happen is you are pushing the queries back to SQL server to do the data transformation, everything. But the challenge here is you cannot push the entire, whatever you remove, delete, right? What will happen is the Power BI will try to push it back to SQL server to process it. And once the SQL server, for this specific columns, when it retrieves the data, it has to send it back to Power BI. Fine. This guy ask this SQL server to process it. Hey, this is your job, you do it. So after he completes his job, he has to send it back, right? He's sending it back. But Power BI still, right, there are some limitations. Supposing in the query, if you are doing some kind of aggregation or something like that, okay? Or if you are trying to merge the columns, I want to combine the category and subcategory. I want to concatenate these 2 things. So in that case, what will happen is Power BI will not generate the query. See, first it has to connect to the SQL server and to get the data. Once it gets the data, whatever operation you do it in Power BI, like removing the column, introducing some new formulas like quantity and unit price, what it does is it generates a SQL. Actually, it generates a SQL. That SQL it sends back to SQL server. It generates SQL. All it does is just generate the SQL for whatever transformation you do it behind the scene. You don't have to write the SQL. It sends back to SQL server. But what Power BI says, there are some limitations. You can remove a column, you can create a new column based on the existing column. For this, I can generate the SQL query. But if you combine these two columns, I cannot do that. I cannot generate SQL query. So in that case, you cannot use SQL Server. So is there any other alternate that I can use it to run my query against my SQL Server? So if you combine category and subcategory in Power BI, what will it cannot generate the SQL query? For him, it is something like a new language. Hey, I cannot understand this language. He will get confused. He will not generate the SQL. But this guy has to generate the SQL. Okay. So whatever you tell me, I will, I'll generate in Hindi language, because my source system is Hindi, right? I generate Hindi language. I'll send it back to the Hindi speaking people. Let them process the language and tell me the output, something like that. You just think that way. But there are certain transformation even Power BI cannot understand, or there are some limitations. If you combine these two columns, I cannot understand, I cannot produce a SQL. Only when Power BI generates the SQL, it can send it back to SQL Server. Since Power BI has some limitation, it cannot send it back. So you need to come up with some other alternative way. What is the alternative way? Instead of doing this process in Power BI, this process, right? You do it in SQL itself. Combine the column and perform some kind of sum, aggregation, everything, and then send the output. Instead of expecting the Power BI to generate SQL, you need to, as a developer, data analyst, you need to write a SQL query on this source system and produce the output and store it in some temporary table or something like that, and then send it back to this guy. Now, he is all set. He is having the processed data. Like he is having the revenue and the profit, which was already computed by SQL Server. So I got the plain vanilla data. Very good. So it is a readily available data. I don't have to generate SQL. I don't have to ask SQL Server to execute the query. That job is not there. Okay, I'm not going to do that job. Good. So for that, right, you need to know how to write a SQL query. Number one reason. Okay, and also when it comes to performance point of view, okay, you have developed a report. How long it takes to view the report? For example, I want to see last quarter sales, right? You want to do some kind of aggregation. So nowadays, you know very well, we are dealing with millions and millions of records. If it takes 3 days to generate a report, to see the report, you generated a report, but the data in the report is not visible. It takes longer time to show the data in the report. So in that case, obviously, right, you will lose patience. So what we do is sometimes we have to write some queries on the SQL Server itself. We need to do some kind of fine tuning from the performance point of view. Fine. So this is one thing. Number two is to test your report, right? Whatever the formula that you, for example, revenue, and you have something called COGS, cost of goods sold, right? So all these things to compute, you plotted it in a report. The report, the business users, they are seeing it. They are looking at, okay, region wise, what is the profit, what is the sales, what is the net sales, what is the gross sales. Fine, they are looking at it. So they have some concern, okay, by looking at the net profit or gross sales. Hey, something wrong here. And then they are asking you, hey, which formula, how did you get this? How did you get this? Which formula that you use it? How did you transform this? So whatever you developed in your report to test it, testing people, right? They are as a testing person, you need to validate whatever the data it shows in the report or dashboard is correct. You need to write, at times you need to write a SQL query to check it. So hence SQL query is important to learn. So these are the reason why you need to learn SQL. Okay, and if you are lucky, the customer is giving you .json file or Parquet file. Parquet is the T is silent here. Parquet file is used in Hadoop. It's a very popular file in Hadoop. The performance is much faster if the data is stored in Parquet kind of format. Okay, And some people they use Parquet, some people they use .json file, some people they use .csv, comma separated value file, and some people they use the SQL Server database. Okay, so if they use kind of these kind of files, right, it will be easier for you, right? So you don't have to learn SQL, but still to test it out, whatever the output shows, if you know SQL, it is good. But for JSON and all Parquet, how writing SQL query, how can you fire it against these files, right? But these kind of files you are okay. But if the source system is SQL Server, and if you want to test it, right, the report output, whatever value it shows, definitely you should be knowing SQL. Fine. Okay, what we will do is we will continue with we'll start with MySQL to understand how to write a SQL queries using MySQL. Once you learn how to write the queries in MySQL, the same thing you can write it in any kind of RDBMS, except the fact that the syntax will vary from one RDBMS to another RDBMS. That's it. So what is MySQL? It is an open source RDBMS software. It is one of the popular and widely used databases to write SQL queries. Okay, and in the past, Facebook, they were using MySQL, and even many companies, right, they were using MySQL since it was open source. Many of them they were using Flickr, YouTube, even YouTube they were using MySQL. Now because of the humongous amount of volume that they are generating, MySQL is not scalable. Now most of them they migrated to Hadoop system. Okay, but even the mid-sized and small-sized company, they are still using MySQL database. Okay, and okay, so it is an open source RDBMS software. It was acquired by Oracle. Oracle, they acquired MySQL, and the commercial version of MySQL is also available for the enterprise purpose. Suppose you are running a bigger, let's say your company is a very bigger one, and you need more scalability. In that case, you can go for the licensed version of MySQL. That is for enterprise purpose. You can buy it from Oracle. But for us to learn MySQL, it is a open source. You can download it and install it into your laptop. And I already shared the video link to others. Okay, what I'll do is I'll share it to you all offline, and probably I'll help you out whenever you are free. Okay, and to install the MySQL server. Okay, so today what we will do is, as part of MySQL, see here, once you download the MySQL, so all you need to just go to this website, download MySQL for Windows. Just type it and go to this site. So go here, and if you scroll down here, you will find this one. I would suggest you to download the bigger size. Okay, instead of 2.3 MB, you can download this one. Okay, so once you click, it will take some time to download, but you need to, once you click that one, it will take you to the next page like this. You need to scroll down. You don't have to log in, you don't have to sign up. Just select this one. No thanks, just start my download. That's all. You can store it in some, download this file, right? You can create some meaningful name, SQL, MySQL software, something like that. Okay, once this is done, you need to install it. Okay, the installation is also pretty simple. Okay, all you need to do, just click on this MSI file, and it will open a dialog window, and click next, it will get installed. Don't make any changes, simply click next, it will get installed. Okay, but if you get stuck, if you are quite new into software development or programming, what I will do is I will share the video link. You can just watch it. So in that video, it explains step by step how to install MySQL software on your system. Okay, so okay, anyhow it is getting downloaded. In the meanwhile, what we will do is, see, in my case I already installed it. So once you install it, go to the start button, type MySQL. When you type MySQL here, it will show something like MySQL 8.0 command line client. Just click open. It will open like this. But I would suggest you all, so somewhere during the course of the installation, it will ask you the password. You need to specify the admin username as admin, password also admin. You give it that way. Okay. So, or you leave it as it is, the root name. I think the root is root only, and the password it will ask you. Don't change the username. Okay, leave it as it is, admin. Or you can also specify the username as admin and password also admin, so that you can remember it. But most of them, they ignored this my instruction. Okay, so they give some other password, and the next day, the next session, they forget the password. The only way out is you need to uninstall and reinstall it. That pain is there, because you should be knowing the root password. If you don't know the root password, right, that is one pain is there, and hence I would strictly request you to use this same case, lowercase admin enough. Okay, so when you select, when you go to the next one is, you go to the command prompt, type MySQL. I'll just show you one more time. Click command line client. When you click open, you will find something like this. Apart from this, you have something like MySQL Workbench is also there. You don't have to type too much there. Okay, and it's a GUI based. Let's go step by step. So this is one of the command line client. Okay, so you just type admin. I was able to log in here. So what we will do is, we will carry out these tasks today to proceed with understanding SQL queries, right? First thing is, you need to create the database. Create database. Before you create the database, let's say I'm just curious to know, hey, I connected to MySQL, I recently installed it, and when I typed admin, I was able to log in successfully because I gave the password as admin. Fine. So it is in the MySQL command prompt. Just want to see what databases are there in this MySQL. I just type enter. Oh, these are the databases are there. In your case, you will find only 4 databases because you installed it first time. When you install it first time, because in my case, I already installed it and created many databases. In your case, by default, 4 databases will be there. Information schema, performance schema, and here's something called SYS and MySQL. Only these 4 databases will be there. Okay, so now these 4 databases were created by MySQL itself. You don't have to create it. These 4 databases are for system purposes. The MySQL server stores its metadata in it. You just think that way. Okay, you don't worry about too much about that. So now these are the databases are available. I'm going to create a new database. Create database. Something like employee, something like that. Okay, employee. So already exists in my case. What I do is emp is also already available, and what I do is, okay, payroll, something like that. Okay, I created payroll database. Create space database space payroll. So these two are reserved word. Okay, and this can be anything, but you need to give some meaningful name. Don't give your kid's name or your spouse name. Okay, specify only the business name, payroll department, and we have finance department. Create database finance. Create database supply chain management, SCM, something like that. Okay, I have created a database called payroll. That is the first step. And the next step is create tables. How do I create the tables? So in my case, okay, I'm going to use, so see here, what happens is, you need to notice one thing here very clearly. I have lot of databases already created in the past. And also now I created the database by the name of payroll. Yes, the payroll got created successfully. Okay, so here itself, when you execute this command, you will find query OK, one drop. That means this command is successful, no error. The database got created successfully. Payroll, fine. So now what I do is, I have a lot of database are available. I want to create some tables inside this payroll database. Okay, it is something like this. Okay, you just think this way. Okay, the database is like a container. So in my case, the payroll is the database, right? So this is a container. A database can have more than one tables, one or zero or more than one tables. You can have table or you don't have to have a table. The whole idea of payroll is to create the tables that are related to my payroll department. So payroll department is, they need at this moment 3 tables to be created. You need to create 3 tables. So in this case, the payroll database is going to hold 3 tables. So once you create the table, you need to insert the data, isn't it? Insert the data. This is the step. Step 1 is, let's go step by step. Step 1 is create the database, and payroll. Payroll is not the command. Okay, you can give whatever name you want it, you can give it. And step 2, what you do is just type show databases to check whether payroll database got created successfully or not. So I gave the show database here. I could see the payroll got created successfully. Very good. And it is available. And step 3, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the payroll database to create tables related to payroll. Because I have so many tons of database are there. Payroll, project, look here, SCM and test2, sys, like as many databases are there. Which database I need to create tables? Because my manager asked me to create the tables or generate the table data reports related to payroll. So obviously I have to create the tables inside the payroll database meaningfully, logically. Okay. So what I need to select the payroll. How do I select the payroll database? Use payroll. Step 2 we are done, right? So step 3. Okay, step 2 is nothing. So here what we did, we selected the payroll data. How did we select? Use command, payroll. Now I'm inside the payroll database. Here I'm going to create the table. Step 4. Right, so now what you do is create tables. So in my case, I'm going to create a table by the name of, here itself I'll create table EMP and EMP ID, and EMP ID is int. Int is nothing but integer data type. Okay, we'll see the data types also. As part of table creation itself, right, I will tell you what data types are there. So for example, you have ename varchar is, the employee name is 30. It's a text data type. There is a data type called varchar. It is a text data type. And int is, you can store the integer value, and then you have something called salary. You have double. You have something called double. Double is another data type. That means a decimal values. Okay, decimal values. And higher date data type. Double date. As the name suggests, as the name says, date means you can store only the date related values inside the higher date column. And the salary need not to be a whole number, right? It will be a decimal. So likewise you can specify it. Okay. So I'm going to just select this. I just go ahead and here you need to select it and paste it. Press enter. It will take some time. Yes, the table got created successfully. Query OK. That means no error. The table got created successfully. Very good. What is the next step? Creating the table is not sufficient. You need to insert the data into it. Insert into EMP. So insert into the reserved word. Okay. EMP is the table name. So what I do is here I am going to say employee ID is 101 and here his name is Rajesh. and the salary is, let's 45,000, let's 800 and 45,800.25 as per the net salary, something higher date. This higher date is 1 August 2021. So insert into employee. Now let us copy and paste it here and see what is happening here. So you have a syntax error. Okay, here the higher date, right? It cannot be like this. Okay, it's a date data type. So okay, then okay. So next what we will do is, I will do one thing. I am going to skip this. This is one way of inserting the data into employee table. So hope you understood, right? Step by step. First step is create the database. Inside the database, you create tables. And how do I go to the database which I created it? Use payroll. First, you need to use this, because you want to creating the database not sufficient. You need to select this database to create the tables, right? To create and store the tables inside the payroll. Hence, use payroll. Step 3 and step 4. Once you selected this database, inside this database, you create the tables, like create table EMP and something like this. The insert into, we are getting some syntax error, okay, because of the date format. What I do is insert into emp. I'm going to use a shortcut emp id ename comma salary values. I'm going to exclude the date thing here. I will insert it later. I will show you how to do that later. Okay. So I'm going to use this command. So in this case, though I have 1, 2, 3, 4 columns, I tell MySQL, hey, not all the 4 columns I want to insert the data. I want to insert the data in only 3 columns: emp id, ename, and salary. I'll show you how to insert the data in higher date also. Don't worry. Okay. This is an alternative way of storing the data to a specific inserting the data to a specific columns in a table. Done. So now no syntax error. We could see that query okay. That means this insert into command inserted the data successfully into my table emp. So how do I check whether the data, can I view the data, the inserted data? Select star from emp. It's very simple. Okay. The next one is, okay, I'll just show you here. We will create another employee. For example, here I just go ahead and create Raushan. Raushan is my another employee. His salary is 1,48,000, and here I want to store his to 2021. In my company, he joined by 2021. Okay, 1st August. 1st August, he joined in my company. So in that case, okay, so otherwise we have different options are available. Okay, here what I do is, instead of August 08, this is the format I'm going to use it, but still it is throwing an error, right? So here the date format has some problem. There is syntax problem here. Okay, what we will do is here, 1 second, 2001, 2021, 802, right? Okay, what you can do is, you can use cur date also. You have something called cur date. Cur date is also not working. So that is a PHP thing. I thought of trying it out. That, sorry, here not to date, to R. Okay, there is a to Roshan. Okay, here near 102. Sorry, here I need to use values, right? Okay, guys. Current date will show the current date. Today's date it will get inserted. Okay, now I just want to use 2021 hyphen 8 hyphen 01. If I give this, there is let me just get help. You have see if you get something like that, right? So you can help date. You can type date. Look here. So it shows the year, month, date format, right? You need to use the format something like that. Okay. If you get stuck up with the syntax related issues, it is not a big thing. Okay, syntax anybody can learn it with the help of the manual. So here okay, first of all, next step is, let me just check, describe EMP. So here the higher date column is the date data type. So here with the help of DSC, what is DSC? Is a short form of describe. Describe the employee table, which means what columns are there, and they show me the associated data types. EMP8 is int data type, and this is a var character data type. In this ename, I can store only the text data, or I can store the mix of text as well as the number value. But in the case of integer type, you cannot store the text value in it. It will throw an error. So double is to store the decimal value, and date data type is to store the date values in it. Okay, but here still it shows insert into, wait, let us do one thing. Here I did not specify the values, right? Look here, now it is working fine. I should have used the values function, but here when I type the date with help date, it shows me only the format. Which format you need to use it to store the date values in the date column. What is my date column here? Higher date, and this is a date data type. So in the higher date, I'll have to store the data in this format year. So let's 2021 hyphen 08 hyphen 01 or 02, something else. So date data type. So now it is working fine. So what mistake I did it? You should be very good with troubleshooting also. In case of any error comes, right, you should be. So here what I did. So here I did not use values, right? The syntax is insert into the table name. The table name is whatever the table that you created it, and followed by this you need to specify values inside the parenthesis. Okay, here if you press up arrow, it will get back the previous commands that you tried it. Okay, look here. So here look here, this is another way of inserting the data. So here I just inserted all the column values except higher date. So what is the difference between these two commands? Here I've used the values, but here I did not use. But if you use values, you need to specify the values for all the columns in your table. If I use values is a reserved word. Okay, it's a command. Okay, inside the parenthesis, you need to specify all the values for all the columns that are there in your table. Now I don't want to insert the values in all the columns. I want to insert the column, specific column, then insert into emp. Inside the parenthesis, you need to specify which column you wanted to insert the values. Here it is a open-ended. You don't have to specify the column name. Look here, here I did not specify EMP-ID ename cell like this, right? Because I'm going to insert the values for all the columns in my table. Why should I specify like this? If you want to insert the data into my table for a specific columns, then I'll have to specify the column name followed by the list of column names followed by the table name. Insert into table name, parenthesis values, you're going to specify like this. So now I'm going to say, let's say 201 or something like that, 301. Rahul. I'm going to insert Rahul here. So he is getting 1,45,000, something like that. Specific values only I was able to do. Now let us go and select Now I need to check how these values got stored in my table. Select star from emp. Very simple command. What is star? Display all the values from my emp table. Got it? 1 second, I'll record it. Here I'm recording it. Here also will, because my current batch member,
Recording in progress.
they will expect me to share this one. Sometimes this is not working. All right, so if you look at the Rahul's data here hire date is not there. Okay, so only 1, 2, 3 values. These 3 values get stored in the corresponding these 3 columns. Sometimes when you get the data from your manager, right, so they might not give you the values for all the columns, right? So in that case, what you do is, or you are asking your manager, hey, hire date, I don't know, man. So apart from hire date, rest of them you insert it. So this is how you can insert it. But if you want to insert the values to a specific column, you have to specify the column name. It is logically, if you think about it, it is very valid, isn't it? If you don't specify the column, and if the number of values, if you say only the 3 values, right? If you specify all the values in it, it is fine. If you specify only 3 values or 2 values or 3 values, how will MySQL server will get to know? So these 3 values are related only to these 3 columns, right? So you need to specify explicitly the column name if you try to insert the data into specific columns. So here, okay, hire date, I don't know. So hence, what I did, employee emp ID, ename, misal, only insert only these values. But if we know all the values for all the columns, then this headache is not there. Assume that your table has 50 columns in it. Just because you do not know the value for a specific column, can you type 49 columns here? It's a painful thing, right? So the other alternative is, if you don't know here itself, look here itself, I don't know this guy's joining date, I type null here, okay? So let's say I say 4, and here I say something like Asha, fine, null. This is another way of storing the values. This is another way of doing it, okay? Select star from emp. So now if you see, Asha has a null value, and this is another way of storing it. Right? Sometimes only subset of the values you need to insert it. You need to specify the column name explicitly followed by the table name. Okay, and what I would suggest you all is to get more correlated subquery. Right? It's kind of a refresher session, but also you have something like inline query. When will you use inline query? And also, what are the advantages of using subqueries? So it is a refresher session for even for experienced people. If you are already familiar with SQL, still you will benefit from this. Anyhow, I'm going to in the later session will explain you how to write complex queries, joining multiple tables. Right? If you have to perform left join, right join, combine everything, anti-join, how to do that, you will be learning it, that advanced part also. Fine. As of now, what we discussed, we just discussed these 4 or 5 steps. Create the database, and then make sure that whether this database got created or not. Use show databases, and the next what you do is, and then you need to select the newly created database, because you want to store the new tables inside this. So the next step is use payroll. Use command. Use will help you to select the specific database. Okay, now use space payroll semicolon. You have to use specific semicolon, because this is the one, the statement terminator. Okay, when you specify this, the MySQL server will get to know, oh, this guy has completed typing his commands. Now it is my job to execute this command. So it will execute it, and then it will select this database. So once this command get executed, next step is you need to create table, and next step is insert the data into this table. Inserting the data inside this table itself, we have seen 3 different options, right? When to use what. I will share this script to you also, and few of you are completely new into programming. It will be really beneficial for you. Okay, instead of this one, instead of this one, what I do is I'm going to here I'm going to say null, because this employee's hire date was not given. This is another way of doing it. Okay, so this is an alternative to step this one. I say, this is the step A, and step B. This is alternative to step B. Got it? So here you exclude the hire date, and then if you have like I said 50 columns, just because you don't know hire date, you need to type 50 columns, and then you need to type the values here, right? It's a painful thing. Instead, what you do is, even if you don't know the value for a specific column, you put null. You don't have to type all the columns, simply use insert into emp, but you need to specify values, right? And then the date, what kind of mistake we did it. I intentionally did that mistake for you to remember that one. So only when we make mistake, we will learn more, right? So here, so YYY and MM and DD format. You need to store the date not in this format. It is not accepting this one. So 2021 is the year, and 12 and 1. Sorry, here I gave 8th, right? August, something like this. So if you remember these 4 or 5, so okay, the next step is what we do is next step is, after you insert the data, step 5, view the data. So how do you do that? Select star from EMP to view all the values from this table. And one more intermediary step here. So once you create the table, right, what you do is, the next step is step 4a, what is show tables, whether this table got created or not. Like how you verify by using show databases to check whether this database got created or not. Similarly, after you create the table, next step is you need to verify whether the table got created or not, right? So show tables, I'll just type it here, show tables. See EMP, yes, the table got created. The next step is another step is step 4b. Describe the columns in this table, EMP. Describe EMP. What columns are there? I created the table, but what are the columns? What are the columns that I mentioned it as part of my create table statement? As per that, all the columns got created. Yes, EMP ID, e-name, salary, hire date. The data type also it shows, and null key. Yeah, so you can have null values for these columns. Okay, you don't have to specify non-null values all the time. So you can specify null values also here. That is what it says. So with this you can understand these columns can hold null values also. Like I showed you hire date, null value. Right? Also you can specify default value. At this moment, let us ignore this part. Anyhow, I'm going to introduce you the primary key, foreign key in the another little later. Okay, so that you will learn that concept also. Now all of you are able to follow me, right? Learning SQL query is important. Even in your project, if they don't use any SQL server, nothing, it is always good having multiple skill sets. step by step. Database, create database, and to view the database, whether database got created or not, use this command. And next step is I want to select this database, select the payroll database, because inside this database only I need to create the tables. How do I create the table? Create table EMP. Likewise, I need to create it. And then the next step is whether the tables got, so this table got created or not, right? You are just curious to know that. You just typed it and you are able to see the EMP table. Next one, describe. Describe what it does. This one will give you the, this is forward slash and star means this is for comments. For our understanding, we put the comment here, okay? To view the structure of the table, okay, and you have to use this one, okay, comment. Fine. So the next one is you are done with this, okay. Next, step 5. Step 5, insert the data into EMP table. So using insert into, we are able to insert it. But even in this itself, right, for the step for B, the alternative to this B step, right, you can use this way, right? This also we discussed it. And the date, we made a mistake, right, by specifying August 2021 hyphen August hyphen. Instead of using that one, you need to strictly use this format. Yes, we can store the data in that format also. That we will see it later. I don't want to overwhelm you at the beginning of this session itself with multiple commands, okay? Fine, okay. And you inserted the data. Now you go back and tell your manager, hey, I created all the tables inside my payroll database and I viewed it, all the data are correctly stored. Fine. Next step is, he says, hey, I forgot to tell you one thing. You need to add one more column, man. I forgot to tell you, you need to add another column. So in that case, you already, let's say in this case, only 4 columns are there. Let's say you already created 4 to 49 columns in your table. Your manager now, he comes back and says, hey, I forgot to tell you to add one more column. We missed out one more column. Is there any way you can add that column? So now you are asking, okay, you tell me what is the column name. He says something like location. So in the step 5, what you can do is, step 6, add a new column. So for this, there is a command like alter table emp add. So what you do is inside the parenthesis, I think here this will location, data type. So here varchar of, because the location is a text type, isn't it? So hence what you are going to do, you are going to specify 25 or something like that, okay? So now the question is, why 25? Can't I give more than that? So you know very well, right? It's just a guesswork. If your location is not going to be more than 25 or more than 20, right? Better. See, if it is not going to be more than 20, better you can give an additional thing, buffer kind of thing, okay, 25. So now I'm going to select it. I'm going to paste it here. Now this command also successful. I was able to add a new column. So how do I check whether this column location was made part of this table? Press up arrow to get the previous command. Describe command. Look here, location got created. The new column location got created. But for this you don't have the data in your table. When you press up arrow in this employee table, we don't see any value for the location. All the employees, we don't have the value for the location because we have created this column just now. Is there any way I can update the location? So you can modify the existing value. That's what my agenda says. How to create a table, how to insert the data. We have something called CRUD. CRUD. You need to remember this term. Okay, create, read, update, delete. Guys, please remember these 4 things. You attend any training, you should be knowing this one. So C stands for create table, we have seen it. How to insert the data also we have seen. How to rate the data, select star from the table. Okay, next one is update. Before I jump into update, instead of using select star from EMP, is there any way I can select only the specific column? For example, I want to see the employee name and their salary, that's all. Only select two specific columns. Okay, only to select specific columns. And what I do is I'll just try to insert one more record to show you some other example, some other command. Okay, we have something called limit command. Here I say, let's say Shreyas. Okay, column count does not. Okay, here because the length is, oh, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Oh, we have one more column, right? Newly added. You need to take into account of that one also. Null, one more column. So I'm going to say location, isn't it? So always use up arrow. You don't have to type again and again. Okay, so look here, select e-name from employee. Okay, I want to select the employee name. I want display employee name and salary only from this. I don't want to see all the other column because my manager need only these columns. Okay, and we have some other command called limit. I want to display the top 5 records only. Limit, for example, or I want to view only the specific number of rows. Like here, look here, in this case, I want to view only the specific columns. Similarly, is there any way I can view only the specific rows? Yes, limit to limit. That is where the command called limit is very much helpful. Limit space 2, if you give, display only the first 2 records. Okay, so we subsetted the table by columns. Instead of showing all the column, we subsetted the column. In this case, we subsetted only these 2 columns. E name comes L. Similarly, can we subset the rows? Instead of showing all the values, I don't want to see all the rows. I want to see only the first 2 employees' salary, top 2 employees' salary. Top 2 in the sense as per the physical physical order. So this is the first record, second record. Okay, is there any way I can see the 4th record? 4 records, top 4 records, fine. We can see the 4 records. If I give 4, 4, what is happening here? I'll just select star from you. Now you compare and tell me what is happening. Asha and Shreyas only it shows. That means 4, 4. I'm just giving some range. Start from start display the values after the 4th record. 1, 2, 3, 4. After the 4th record, Asha is there, right? Here the 4 is what is the total number of? Ideally, I should have given 6 here. Here I have mentioned total number of the 6 records. Display the records after 4th record. Okay, till the end, right? Till the end. So 4, Asha and Shreyas, right? So this is after the 4th record. We can see these 2 records. Okay, so this is how we can display the top 2 records, top 5 records, last 5 records, right? And if I want to see the last 5 records, how can I see that? Or last 3 records, starting from Rahul to Shreyas, how can I see that? 3, 6. After the 3rd record, whatever is there, you print it till the end of the record, right? So 3rd record is Rahul. Till the end, Shreyas, you print it. Since in this batch, we have the mix of both technical and non-technical people, right? I started covering the basic thing. Non-technical people, please note down and start practice it. By the way, I will share this video at the end of the session. Those of you already enrolled for this one, right? I'll share this to you all, and start practice it without fail. If you are already familiar with SQL, you can ignore today's session, okay? And tomorrow, so tomorrow says next week, right? I will gradually increase the complexity, but I want you to be very good with writing, answering the queries. For example, if I ask you what is the average salary drawn by I want to display the employees those salaries more than their average salary of their department. Okay, so in that case we need another table. I'm going to create I'm going to create another table called department. I'll tell you why we need to create another table. So I'm going to create another table called department number. Here I say integer, and department name var care of. Again I made the same mistake here. Somehow I sorry, here I need to write to so department number integer, and d name var care of, let's say 20. Department name of the department, finance department or costing department, production department, something like that, okay? And then this location of this department I say var care of 20 again. So this is sufficient at this moment. So I'm going to create another table. I just copy it and paste it here. Similarly, right, we can insert the data into this table also. Insert into depart. So I'm very good at typing also, okay? So I cannot expect you to be very good at this. So I'll tell you some other alternative. We have something called MySQL Workbench. One second. We have something called finance, and location is New York, something like that, okay? Can simply copy paste. So here it is 20, and here I call this accounts, or instead of saying accounts, I call that as a the marketing department. That is also in New York. And here something else called an inventory. Let's say inventory. So here something called inventory is in logistics, New York, something like that, okay? I just select all these values, and my script is ready. Right click, copy. Here how many columns are there? Department number, D name, location. 3 columns are there. Here we mention the value for all the 3 columns. Hence if I use values, that is more than sufficient. Insert into depart values, that is enough, okay? So now I just select all the things and copy, and go back here, right click. If you do right click, it will get copied, inserted. Select star from depart. Now the departments are ready. Again, the department number should not be, it should be unique. I'll just tell you one thing. I'll just we'll update it later, okay? So as of now we are done with this, okay? I'm not going to proceed any further with the scripting part, because if I cover so many things, you will be bored and you will not be able to concentrate. Quickly I take a digression. I go to my start button. Here I say MySQL. I just type it. Use something called MySQL Workbench. You just select this one and open. See, I'm more of a keyboard guy, right? So, and you guys are all obviously the GUI based guys, right? You are more likely to use only the graphical user interface. I think something, it got crashed. I thought of showing you that. Yeah, it is opening. Sometimes it will cause some kind of thing. So now, when you select a MySQL workbench from the start button, it will open something like this. Look here, the root. This is nothing but the admin username. All you need to just select this one. That's all. Okay. It will take some time to open it. Look here, it has opened. You have to wait for some time. If you are using 4 GB RAM, it will take more time. I am using 16 GB RAM even with this because I already opened many files. Fine. So now if I just drag this here, you can see all the schema names here. Schema names are nothing but database name. So which database we created? Payroll. Look here. I just expand this one. So here I can see the tables, views. These are the objects that are part of this database. We have created so far the tables only. I am going to expand the tables here. Look here, EMP and department. These two tables I created. I just double click on it. And what happens here, right? So you can see something. Okay, 1 second here. When I double click on it, it came here. So what I do is, I just if you can see 3 icons here. Okay, so this is to when you select this one, right, table view. So what it does is it automatically generates the select star from payroll M. See, you don't have to type the commands also. You just select this and automatically write the script on your behalf. Select star from payroll is the database name. In this database, we want to query only EMP table. Look here, it is showing all the query here. Okay, this is my result grid, and okay. And the next step is here you can see something like this spanner kind of thing, right? When you select this one, it's a tool. You select this, so you can with this also you can create the table here. Okay, you don't have to use create table command and all. You can go ahead and specify the table name. If you want to create a new table, you specify the table name. And then for example, I just want to say EMP2, and the next step is you need to select this one. Okay, when you click this one, and you can see the column name, what columns that you want to create it. Since I already created the EMP table, it showed the previous column names. Okay, that table's column name. Okay, if you want to add any additional column, for example, I want to add depart number, and then here I am going to say int. If you don't know the data type, just select this one. You can see these many number of data types. These are the data types that are supported in MySQL. I explained you only few of the data types. Int, varchar, decimal. It's a you can use decimal or double. Okay, and date time and date is also there. Date time. If you want to store the time also along with the date, then you can use date time data type. And if you want to store only the time function, you can use it. If you want to store only the year, you can use the year. Right? And you have something called big N decimal. Let's not get into so many. Even float is also available. See, double and float is also available. Right? Let's not spend too much of time on this. Upfront, you can start using. So okay, here what I do is I just remove this one. I added on the new column depart number here and click apply here. So look here, alter table name, add column department name, depart number, integer null, after location. See, after the column location, you insert the depart number. You can change this one also. Okay, after or before also you can change it. So this is what I have used it in my thing. Okay, and alter table, EMP, add location, like how I included this new column, right, into my EMP table. Using this command. So the same command is well, but here you can see additional things like what is the new column, the data type, integer data type. Can it hold null values? Yes, you can hold the null values also here. It need not to be a non-null value after location. That's all. Just click apply. So this command got generated automatically by this tool. Click apply. Done. We are done. Finish. Okay, the new table. I just go to my backend and I will see whether the new column depart number got included as part of my EMP table. For that I use describe. Instead of typing describe, you can type desc. This is a shortcut thing. EMP semicolon enter. So depart number int, I did not create it here. I create in the front end, the GUI, graphical user interface. Anyhow, we will work on this one also, so that you will be more comfortable with this one. Okay, so it will generate automatically. Okay, so likewise you can add a column, drop a column, create a table, whatever you do it, the same thing you can do it here also. Fine. Any questions so far? Okay, so next weekend, what I will do is, right, with this itself, I'll be wrapping up now. And the upcoming weekend, we will step up the pace. Okay, instead of 1.5 hours, we will work 2 hours. And in the meanwhile, you start practice it everything, whatever I taught you today, especially the non-programmers. And the upcoming weekend, we will continue with the same thing, but we will create a little, we will include some more columns and some more tables, and then we will start practicing the SQL queries, like how to use the operators, various operators, like the in operator, exist operator, between operator, or operator, right, Boolean data type, right. So all the things, how to use it. Okay, so we'll see it in the upcoming weekend. And then the upcoming Sunday, what we will do, we will spend more time on this one, the little advanced concepts, little bit advanced concepts. And the next weekend, followed by the next weekend, right, we will continue with advanced SQL. And if you are all comfortable, and if you are able to cope up with my pace, and if you are able to practice whatever the assignment which I give it in the next weekend, right, then we will jump into Power BI. Most likely for the next 2 weekend, we are going to continue SQL part only, right. So after 2 weeks, we will start the Power BI part, and Power BI also will go step by step. I understood I have non-programming programmers are there in this thing. Don't worry, but that doesn't mean, right, I'll go in a very slow pace. Initially, we will go in a slow pace. I request the non-programmers to start practice it. You need to come up to speed so that we can complete the training program on time. And also, we'll cover basic, intermediate, advanced level also. The DevOps part also I'll show you, okay, how to deploy the reports, what release management process that we follow it in our company, the real-time processes and best practices, and whatever the lessons we learned, everything will share to you. That will definitely complement your skill set, and it will add more value to your profile. And even if you get into a job, you don't have to depend too many people. Okay, you don't have to have too much of dependency. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. We can perform independently. So end of the day, even if you should be able to crack the interview, number one. Number two is, too much of dependence should not be there. Okay, you should be independent. That is what we are all expecting. Once you join my company, let's say if you are joined my company, and expect you to be independent. If you have any doubts, that doesn't mean you are not supposed to ask any questions. If you ask any question, we'll try to help you out with regards to the process and coding standard, and what process that we follow as part of release management, continuous integration, and continuous delivery, that point of and then the templates, what design documents that we use it as part of business intelligence life cycle. Each phase, what deliverables you need to produce it. If you understand this, no matter you are a fresher or experienced person, you know end to end everything as part of this training program itself. Okay, so if you learn, and also we have some real-time capstone projects, two projects. If you work on that, that is more than sufficient. You will get the sense of how people work in the real time scenario. With that, you can manage the show. But again, the real time we work on cloud. All the data are available on cloud, and we have something called data lake, and we have something called see on the cloud. They have data lake. All the data are available on the data lake. We need to go and pick up the data, and then we need to start processing that. And we are using couple of ETL tools, SSIS and Azure Data Factory. Now Azure Data Factory also gaining a lot of popularity, but because you cannot rely on Power BI alone to perform the complex ETL processes. If the ETL process are very complex, then you have to use the other ETL tool like SSIS, or though Power BI Microsoft says you can perform both ETL as well as this one with Power BI itself, still it is not advisable. In case of the ETL process, very complex. If the business logic is a bit complex, we go that one, and then we some cases what they do. No, you if it is a database, you can use some SQL queries and write it. We cannot afford buying ETL tool. It depends on the budget. It depends on the many things. But again, if you anything manual, the effort will be more. Nowadays, all the companies they have all the tools, the ETL tools and price everything they have it. You don't have to worry, but you should be knowing how to work with those kind of ETL tools. But at this moment, if you learn this, it is enough. Nikarika, yeah, I'll tell you how to install. I'll share you Nikarika the this one, the video installation video, right? How to install the MySQL server. It's a very easy to understand that one, and I'll share it to you. In case you get stuck up, you let me know. I'll help you out. Okay, you just WhatsApp me. I'll try to help you out. In that video, it explains step by step how to install it. Okay. Any other questions? Since it's a initial stage, I'm just spending only this much of time. But moving forward, we'll try to cover 2 hours, because if I talk continuously and if I use different commands, right, it will be difficult to digest. Yes, Roshan, go ahead. Yeah, you ask me. You have any questions? Yeah, 1 second, I'll unmute you. Yes, tell me, Roshan. Roshan, am I audible to you?
Hello.
Yes,
You
Roshan.
are audible. So, no, just one more question came to my mind. Being a data analyst, like, do I have a chance to create the database and insert the data into that?
Very good question. I am a data analyst. Why should I create table? Why should I create database? Right? So this is an admin job. Database administrator has to do that one. See, nowadays even database administrator, what they ask us, right? They ask us, obviously you don't have to create database, but how will you learn? How will you learn, right? For learning purpose, you create the database on your own. Okay. But tables, yes, we have to create the tables, insert script, everything we have to give it to the DBA. They expect, so it is also the one of the roles of the developer to create table script, insert table script, everything you are supposed to create it and give it to them. But create database, yeah, like you said, you don't have to create database. It is their headache. Okay, database admin, they are supposed to create the database. But for learning purpose, how will you practice? You have to create database here, right? So for that purpose, yes, you have to learn this one also. But one thing is, guys, don't limit yourself saying that this is, this is, I can play only this role. Beyond this, I cannot do that, right? So then that case, right, you cannot demand more, right? But anyhow, obviously, when you join a bigger enterprise, you don't have to create a database. They have a separate team, okay, because it's all very sensitive. They will not give access to us to create database or create database, drop database. No, you cannot do it. It's all admin job. Yeah, in the real time scenario, you are not supposed to do that. Yes. For learning purpose, yeah, for our sake we have to create it, right? In your laptop you have to create. For that purpose, you have to create it. Yeah. But the table and insert script, delete script, all the things you need to give it to the database administrator in real time also. As part of the release management team, right? You need to specify your script name and which folder you kept it. Everything you need to list it down in your release management document. You have something called release management document. Before you migrate your report to the production, right? You need to share it to the release management team. You have something called admin team, and cloud admin, right? So cloud admin, and you have something called within that, right? SQL DBA, right? DB admin, and then you have someone else called cloud admin. SQL DBA will be release management team. You have something release management team and testing team. Likewise, different teams will be there. Okay. The interview you can tell them the database creation is not my responsibility. Okay, table creation script also will give to them, but whatever the script that we give it to the database administrator, they will not simply use my script. On top of that, they will specify additional parameters like storage, how much space it should hold in the database, all the things, storage related thing, they'll take care of it. That's all. And once you create the script and give it to the database administrator, you need to tell the release management team, hey, these are the scripts are there. See, as part of the release management itself, right, what they do is, whatever the script we are giving it to them, they will migrate to the production with the help of the SQL DB. Hey, they are also part of the release management. Hey, these are the SQL, you need to create, set up everything. So from our side, release management, what we do is we will migrate the reports, everything there. And the ETL jobs, everything.
So rather inserting, if we have like the file of 200 columns of Excel file, can I direct that insert all the data into SQL?
Yeah, that was also, that's a very good question. We can, so that's what we will see that step by step. We have something called load command, using which you can load the CSV file directly there. Yes. Sometimes what will happen is, to test various scenarios, right? You will have to, let's say you are using the load command to load the CS instead of typing the insert into and all, right? Insert into all the things. You can use the Excel file and you can load it directly into the table. That's a very good question. That is how we do it. But if you have to add any new columns in addition to the, like the derived columns and all, right? So for that and all, as part of ETL job, you will be doing it. Additional columns and all, you need, for that you need to give the script. Everything you can generate it as a script also. Okay. See, we have something else called data flow. That and all we'll discuss later. Advanced concept. With that, we can we can share the script, everything with the people. To answer to your question, yes, using Excel, we don't have to type it manually, insert into and all. You can load it there. But testing purpose, you need to insert some to test various scenarios. You put different data for that. In little bit inserting, you need to do it. And update, delete, and all, you need to do it. That's all. Not much.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Fine. Since you don't have any questions, we will circle back next weekend, Saturday, same time. Okay, the 5 to 7 will continue. Next week we will spend more time. In the meanwhile, start practice it. Probably I will share the script to you also. Start practice. This is just starting point. Okay, and I have a GitHub link where I kept all the data sets for this training program. Along with that, scripts also available there. You can use those scripts also to create the table. Okay, you don't have to type manually like this. You can use the script to just all you run the script. How to run the script also will teach you next weekend. Okay. Fine.
And
Okay.
rather SQL server is like getting more demands. What I can see, and people are expecting SQL server.
Yeah, we'll see to that also. Don't worry. Okay. See, whatever command we learned, same thing only, not much. See, for example, if you want to create table, right? So you just go to the, you need to specify semicolon and specify go here. That's all. Okay. This command will get executed. Or if you want, See, that also I have installed it in my system. I have everything in my system. SQL, see, Microsoft SQL Management Studio is there. SQL Server, Microsoft SQL. Okay. Or if you want, we will cover it this year. Yeah, like you said, yeah, better we'll get into SQL Server itself. Correct.
Yeah, that's
Transact SQL. They call it Transact SQL. Better we will, learn it from with this itself because it's more relevant to Microsoft. Yeah,
yeah.
that's also a good suggestion. Yeah, we'll use that. Any other questions or suggestions? Fine, we will continue next weekend. Okay, since you don't have any more questions, I will share the video later. Okay, to you all. Okay, fine, thanks.